This is Respectfully Outrageous with Nathan and Ben.
In today's abridged version, we're going to be talking about Colin Kaepernick and his future, Jeremy Macklin, and potentially what he has left, and a little bit of Eric Decker.
Hope you enjoy. What do you think Colin Kaepernick's future holds for him?
Whew. As a starter, nothing. I don't see Colin Kaepernick starting a season, all 16 games, and being the starter all the way through. I don't see that happening. Because the Kaepernick we saw in the playoffs leading to the Super Bowl, I don't think we're ever going to see that Colin Kaepernick again. But as a backup, I think he could be a suitable backup, not just for Carolina teams that run the ball, run the option. He could work. I'm really surprised he didn't get a contract from Seattle. I think he could fit in Washington. I don't know. But I know he would not fit in Atlanta, New England, New York for several reasons. Not just because of market size, scheme. But I could see him working potentially with the Cardinals, which is because Bruce Arians is such an innovator. I think he could find a way to figure out how to make him work. But as really only I see him as like a career backup now, better than Austin Davis, kind of a Derek Anderson that can run now, like the new I should say Fitzpatrick. What I mean by that is someone just good enough to start for a really really bad team, or good enough to be a backup on a decent team. But I don't see him ever starting a playoff game again. I don't see him passing for more than 3,000 yards in a season.
Wasn't there a game last year where he was playing Chicago and he had 4 yards passing in the like up till the third quarter?
Wasn't he like 1 for 14 for 4 yards and 3 picks?
It was bad.
And sacked for like 5 yards. I think he had like maybe 100 yards and it counted for like.
I mean that didn't help his stock right there.
No, it didn't help his stock. Not that I support or disagree with his protest. I think it doesn't matter if you're a team that supports his protest or not. You're going to have backlash whether you sign him or you don't sign him. And I think since he doesn't bring anything out of this world right now, talent-wise, I don't think teams are going to go, well, I totally want to upset half the American population by signing Colin Kaepernick. Well, we know one thing for sure. He will not be playing in Buffalo. From the reaction of the Bills fans, they wanted to kill him.
Yeah. All right. I'm not a huge fan of Kaepernick. I really don't understand why teams are still trying to go after him. He's kind of like Robert Griffin III. He's got a style of quarterback that I think isn't good for a franchise. Running the ball too often like he does will affect his availability and how much he's going to be on the field. And I think that kind of scares teams because, like we saw last season, his arm strength isn't going to help him if he doesn't run.
I think his short and intermediate throws, his short and intermediate throws against the Rams, he looked just like Sam Bradford. If he didn't run and he just stood in the pocket, I watched some of his throws. He looked just like Sam Bradford. He can hit those short and intermediate throws. They're not going to be spirals. They'll be a little bit wobbly, but they can get him there. This problem has always been his deep ball. If you have him clean pocket and he has a simple playbook, I think he can master it and understand it. But when you give him those complex playbooks like Arizona, New England, with the checks the line, all these different things, I don't think he can do that. But running the ball has always been Kaepernick's staple. If he can't make the play from the pocket, he's going to run out, extend the play. Now, injury-wise, I think he's more durable than most people think he is. I don't remember him having any major injuries or surgeries.
Well, I didn't say he has, but
it's definitely a concern, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at Robert Griffin III, he runs, that's his main style, and he gets beat up.
The problem with RG3 is he could never slide.
Kaepernick's a little bit bigger.
I think he's like, what, 6'4", 227, something like that?
He's definitely more muscular, too. He can take a hit or two.
He's ripped, too.
Mm-hmm. like you said, he's not a franchise quarterback.
He was, and I don't think they have the quarterback. I don't think they had the coach and the quarterback to have the scheme for him to work. I don't think there's a scheme out there that fits Kaepernick's intangibles right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not a spread scheme. We saw that. It doesn't work with spread. He doesn't. I don't think he could work in a standard West Coast scheme. I don't think he could work. So maybe if he went to go be the career backup in Kansas City, which is going to be Alex Smith's role in about a year and a half.
So do you think he's going to stay in the NFL, find a team, or do you think he just kind of drop off?
I don't think he's going to drop off the face of the earth like Riley Cooper did. But I also think he's a big enough name, and he's got enough star potential in him that people are going to want to take a chance on him. Kind of like Johnny Manziel. It doesn't matter how far he falls. Part of us going, you know what? He was able to do that. He was able to do this incredible thing. Maybe he has a little bit left of that magic in him. We'll give him a chance. I don't think he's going to start a game this season. I would not be surprised if he got signed. Honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't been signed. I thought Seattle was going to sign him.
They signed Austin Davis, right?
Yeah, Austin Davis. Not that Austin Davis is a bad player. He's a better passer. But Austin Davis doesn't do anything spectacular. I was really surprised that the Jets didn't get more. Because who do they have there that's better?
Good question. And it could be, too, that teams are waiting until maybe training camp to see, what they're going to be dealing with. That could be an option, too. Like, I remember, no teams really had signed Peterson or Charles because they wanted to wait until after the draft.
Right.
And then they were signed. So it could be just, a time issue. We don't know what we have right now. Teams don't know what they're dealing with. We could see him go to some unlikely team.
Maybe Pittsburgh, because they have quarterback problems, and they're not afraid of bringing in controversial quarterbacks. They brought in Michael Vick, and he balled against the then San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is signed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised that he hasn't been signed
Really?
just because of the timing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it is right now. It's just a timing issue. Because teams don't know exactly what they have yet. Because you're playing you've got OTAs, but not everyone's there. You're not always playing with first team reps. There's so many factors that I think teams just don't know exactly what they're dealing with.
I think it also has to do with his asking price. I think he has to, because Adrian Peterson had the same problem. He believed in his heart of hearts that he was a starter, that he deserved double $1 million contract, double tens of millions a year, and starting quarterback. He's not that quarterback anymore. He's not the quarterback that had a 70-yard run against the Packers, and everyone was like, "Who is this guy?" He's now someone who just okay, we're playing Kaepernick, big deal.
Yeah.
Now we're playing Kaepernick. I really should make sure my hamstrings are loose because they're gonna be tight. But I think he can still play. I don't know how good he's going to be this year. I don't think we're going to see him this year. Because if teams were going to sign him, they would have signed him. And it's not like every team in the NFL is going to have a quarterback injury. I hope it doesn't happen, knock on wood. But I'm kind of surprised he didn't go into New Orleans because Sean Payton is a great talent evaluator. He can make people do a lot. He can get the best out of a lot of different people. He's better than Garrett Grayson. He's better than Luke McCown. He's not better than Drew Brees, but he's better than anybody else the Saints have backing up Drew Brees.
It's true.
And let's say, hope this doesn't happen, but Drew Brees goes down. You have Adrian Peterson, Mark Ingram, and Colin Kaepernick as your runners. You could win some games with Sean Payton.
That's true. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.
And, like you said, I don't know how likely we'll see him. How likely the possibility of him playing this year, but we never know. You never know what can happen in the NFL.
No.
So, yeah.
So, Jeremy Maclin got released by the Chiefs. How much do you think he has left?
I think he has a lot left. For some reason, I don't know why. I feel like his talents weren't really used to the best ability in Kansas City. Um, I think he's a much better receiver and deserves some more attention, more targets, more attempts. I don't. I guess with Kansas City, they got Tyreek Hill, and that kind of threw a wrench into things. But I think Macklin's got a lot left if he can find a good team with a decent quarterback, and so maybe not. Maybe he can be a good wide receiver too, because then he can really shine on those. Um, and similarly with Eric Decker, I don't know how much he has left compared to Macklin. What do you think?
Well, I think you're right that Macklin has a lot left, but I think you're wrong that he was misused. I think the problem with Macklin in Kansas City was people think of Macklin as the stats monster, like up there with Julio Jones and Antonio Brown. Not in that league, but in that sense of he's up there. Macklin is a tier 2, maybe mid tier 2 receiver. He was a good start in Kansas City. The problem was they don't throw the ball that much. The scheme in Kansas City is short underneath passing with Alex Smith. And the whole emergence of Tyreek Hill. They already had a Tyreek Hill there. It was DeAnthony Thomas. The problem with that scheme is you're going to win games, you're going to game manage, you're going to play good defense, and you'll be successful. But the problem is he won't have these monster stat seasons. He won't have those 230-yard games and 3 touchdowns. He might have 2 touchdowns and a $120, or 5 catches for 60 yards. But it's going to be rare to see him go off for like 7 catches for 179 yards, because that's not the style of offense he plays in. It's kind of similar to the old style of offense they ran in Philadelphia with McCoy and Deshaun Jackson and Donovan McNabb.
Do you think that he could go for 230 and become that stats monster?
I think he has the potential to be a stats monster, but I think he's also unselfish. Not saying that Antonio Brown and Julio Jones are unselfish. It's just they run a different style of offense where they throw the ball a lot more. Like Pittsburgh, they want to take the deep shot. They want to have to hit the big play with Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Martavis Bryant. They want to go for the deep ball. But in Kansas City, they control the clock. They work down the field, very precise. And Alex Smith is a very efficient passer in that sense. But I don't know if he could be a stats monster in that style of offense. I don't think he could be. But if you put him in a style of offense where he's the only number one, and it's an actual like air raid system, maybe if you went to Minnesota and became what Treadwell was supposed to be, a physical, true number one, he might work. He would be the Jordy Nelson. I think he could be the Jordy Nelson in the sense of he could be a really good number one and a true spread him out, work, but the team can still run the football. I could see him fitting in Minnesota, maybe Miami, but they also have Devontae Parker down there. And people say, well, Jarvis Landry's in the slot. Really? Jarvis Landry's in the slot since when? I don't see him working in I thought he'd go to Buffalo, reunite with his friend LaShawn McCoy. I didn't see him going to Baltimore because Baltimore it's just a general managing mess in Baltimore. I don't see him going anywhere in the NFC East. Philadelphia doesn't. They've already said they won't want him. Doug Peterson said, "quotes We are not interested with a reunion." Don't see him going anywhere in the AFC West. Not like Denver needs a receiver. The Chargers don't really need a receiver. If they added him, I would expect Keenan Allen to be out the door. I could definitely see him going to New Orleans, which scares me a lot. Because he's got a lot left. And he reminds me of a stronger, faster, just shorter Marcus Colston. And what Sean Payton was able to do with Marcus Colston in that 5 wide 0 back set was absolutely horrifying. He was able to shred teams. I think he's a better version of Michael Floyd. Tall, fast, and athletic. Now, he just needs a quarterback that could truly air it out. I don't see him going to New York but I could see him going to Detroit. Even though they have Marvin Jones, Golden Tate, but who else do they really have? Aquan Bolden can't be playing at like 39 years old anymore.
Right.
He's like, 36? And when he was running around, he was basically playing tight end.
Yeah.
He was lining up as a wide receiver and was playing tight end.
I could see him working in that kind of a sense. Truly underneath, I could be thinking could be successful in Detroit. And then obviously the Jets, because the Jets just need help.
Jets can take anyone, right?
Jets can take anyone. I don't know why they got rid of Decker, because I don't really see Decker playing much. But I think Decker should be signed by the Vikings because Stephon Diggs is a good wide receiver, but he's a number two. Adam Thielen is a number 4. He's a number 4 receiver at best, a number 4. And Jarius Wright should be only on the team for special teams purposes. That's legit. That was the only purpose. But if you have other receivers like that, the Vikings need receiver overhaul. The Jets just need help. Philadelphia used to have the worst receiving core in the league, and they had Alshon Jeffrey, and other players. Not Troy Holt. What am I talking about? The receiver from the 49ers.
Torrey Smith,
the former Raven. He can play, so I don't think the Eagles are going to go pick him up. I could see him sitting out a couple weeks and getting signed because the Patriots are notorious for bringing in guys and making them work. But I don't think the Patriots would sign him after they signed all those players. I could see him going to New Orleans. The Jets, and possibly the Vikings are the only teams I could really see him seriously going to. For Decker, Buffalo, and Minnesota. Minnesota because he's a hometown kid. He went to the U.
Right, yeah.
He went to the U of M.
Yep.
He's tall. He can play in the cold because he played in the cold in Denver. Now that the Vikings aren't playing outside anymore, they play in Lambeau. But other than that, I don't really see Decker has these huge options. Maybe he could go to San Francisco, and play with Trubisky. Trubisky's in Chicago. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Trubisky's in Chicago.
and Glennon.
Well, Glennon, yeah. Ooh. But I don't really see the 49ers going after anybody right now. They seem to be going in a defensive standpoint, which is kind of alarming because they're just kind of a mediocre defense and a non-existent offense.
So, if you were to give an estimation, like how many seasons do you think Macklin and Decker have left?
Decker, 2.
Okay.
1 good season and 1 season he's going to limp through.
Okay, yeah.
Macklin, he's pushing 3. 3, and if he played 4, he'd be the Alquan Bolden.
Okay.
Depends on how much he's used. If he's plays like an Alquan Bolden in Detroit, he could play 4.
Interesting.
But I don't really see him. I say he has 1,000 yard season left in him.
1,000 yards. Okay.
Not 1,250, not 1,500 yard, not 1,700 yard. 1,000, 1,008 yard season, 1,017 yard season. No, 1,200 something. It's just 1,000.
Interesting.
Because I kind of feel like his career was skyrocketing in Philly. He was really good. He was coming up on the season, and then he went over the Gatorade cooler, over the benches. You know what I'm talking about it. And then he's like, oh, he's leaving Philadelphia. He's gonna go rejoin his former head coach in Kansas City. His career is gonna look up. He had a good year in Kansas City, and then his career is just kind of gone like this. So I think him leaving Philadelphia was the beginning of the end for Macklin.
Do you think that the Chiefs were smart to release Macklin, or should they have kept him?
Absolutely. If you can keep him, keep him. Renegotiate his contract. Do whatever you can to keep somebody. Doesn't matter what they have left. You should try to keep somebody and try to financially keep them.
They could have tried and trade him too.
They tried to trade him. That's what Andy Reid came out and said. Not only is it the hardest thing I've ever done because he coached him in Philadelphia and he's obviously close with him, and Macklin's a good person, but because Macklin understands the scheme. Now, I don't know why you cut him. If you cut him, cut Albert Wilson. Yeah. Cut DeAnthony Thomas. I like DeAnthony Thomas, but that man is a slower. Less Tyreek Hill or Tavon Austin. Why would you cut your best receiver? And yes, I just said Jeremy Maclin is better than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I would say so.
Tyreek Hill he's
fast. He's quick.
He's a Tavon Austin with a good coach.
That's true.
He's Tavon Austin with a good coach.
Do you think that the Jets were in the right to release Decker?
No.
The Jets need everyone at this point.
The Jets can take anybody. The Jets need to go the goodwill of the football players, which is free agency. Todd Bowles is being left out there to die.
I feel bad for him.
Todd Bowles is like that military outpost in the middle of nowhere, and you keep taking supplies and taking supplies and taking supplies and taking troops and taking troops, and then you expect him to do something with it. Forget it. Todd Bowles is a good coach. He was defensive coordinator in Arizona. He was really good, but you can't win without 53 people on your team.
That's fair.
And those 53 people, at least 20 of them need to be good. The Jets are going to go into the season with like no Pro Bowlers, no returning safeties, like barely any returning corners. Who's their best player? Leonard Williams? Leonard Williams.
Yeah. Or Powell, maybe.
Powell, maybe.
Maybe.
Who's their best player on offense?
Powell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
maybe
Fo-
Decker before, but he's gone
Is
now.
Is Forte even there? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think he still is.
But Forte there's nothing left for Forte.
No.
He should retire, surprise retire right now, because the Forte we know and love we're not going to see him again.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for listening to this week's episode. We're trying a different style this week. We went with a shorter episode.
An abridged version.
Yes. We want to know what you guys think, because if you guys really enjoy these less time-consuming ones, we will continue to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any suggestions, please let us know. Email us, leave a comment. Please let us know what we can do to improve ourselves.
Yep. Improve the content.
Yep. And we'll see you later. Thank you for listening.
Yep.